Hello and welcome to the Philippines. Welcome to Iloilo City in Panay Island, Western Visayas. And we're going to walk around a little bit. This is part of a two-city tour that I took to introduce myself to a couple new cities. I spent a couple days in Bacolod City and was impressed with what I saw there. And I'm over here on Panay Island in Iloilo City. About 500,000 people live here in the city, and I think about 1 million in the metropolitan area, which includes a couple of other cities, Talisay City, I think, and as well as Guimaras Island. ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, has recently awarded, in fact, I think it's going to happen in January 2020, Iloilo as the Clean City Award. They hit the top mark at the Clean City among all the many nations and the cities in Southeast Asia. So that says a lot right there. And my impression was that it was a relatively clean city. The sidewalks were generally in much better repair than what I've seen in many other cities. Bacolod also, I was impressed in many areas. Now I'm in the city center, the city proper is what they call the downtown area. And when I came over here from Bacolod, I wasn't sure what area to stay, but I figured I would immerse myself in the Philippine culture. I want to go to the city proper. And there are a number of different areas to the city, and I'll cover that a little bit later. About 500,000 people live in the city, about 1 million in the metropolitan area. So it's a pretty good sized city. It's a first class, first tier city, what they call, economically. And a number of malls, at least they've got an SM mall, big SM mall, big Mega World Mall, Gaisano Mall. Ayala is building a new business park there, somewhat similar to IT Park in Cebu City, I believe, just from what I've read. But they've got a business park district where they're putting in malls and other types of businesses as well as condominiums, Avida Towers being one of them. I'm going to walk around a little bit. I took a trip out to a beach. I'll show that in a different video. I'm going to talk a little bit about Iloilo and my impressions. I walked many different areas, many different directions during the day as well as in the evening. I asked people if it was safe to walk in Iloilo. Everybody, 100% of the people told me, yes, it's safe. It's safe to walk around. But then they would sometimes, sensing that I might take that in the wrong way, suggested, well, you have to be careful wherever you're at. And we all know that. You try not to do real stupid things like wandering drunk, stumbling down the street. Everywhere I went, the people were friendly and helpful and smiling. And I didn't see many foreigners when I was here. I ended up meeting a foreigner who was from Minnesota, where I'm from, who moved to Arizona, where I moved to. Just happened to meet him outside of a little restaurant. And this group of guys, they're practicing their drum for some competition, I presume. This was one of 3 groups I met within a several block area I went walking through. They had an instructor teaching them, directing them, and of course Filipinos, if there's a camera within 100 yards, they will see it and want to be part of the filming. About 5 years ago, when I was planning my trip to the Philippines, I was actually going to move to Iloilo City. And after doing my research, I wasn't sure where to move. Uh, but one one guy, Mike from My Philippine Journey YouTube channel, he made a statement in one of his videos that he had done his research and he decided Iloilo City was the best place to move to. So that was enough for me, and I had planned on going there. Then I stayed in a hotel for a month, visiting my daughter in Tucson, Arizona. And the lady that worked at the desk was Filipina, and I was telling her about my upcoming trip to the Philippines and told her I was going to Iloilo, and she said, "No, sir, you should go to Cebu City." That was her hometown, just north up in Liloan. Anyway, I did some more research and decided that'll be good enough to start there. But back to Iloilo City, not so far from downtown. I think my taxi ride was 150 pesos or less, depending upon the traffic, or about $3, $2 to $3, to come out to this business area where there's two, three, or even more, four malls kind of concentrated in an area. And I'll show you some of the malls, some of the areas in another video probably. But I hate to use the word Western, but it almost feels like a Western big city. You've got wide streets out there, 8 lanes of traffic, traffic signals, clean streets, nice sidewalks. You almost feel like you're in a modern city, put it that way. And then, of course, you go downtown and you have areas that are more modern than others. They've had about 10 years of building, of growth, like so many cities in the Philippines, and also working on infrastructure here. They have a concentrated entertainment and bar area with a couple of hotels at a place called Smallville, and I'll do a separate video about that. Lots of bars. One bar had a comedy group in there, but it was in the local language, Tagalog, I think, actually. So I wasn't going to be able to enjoy that. But they have many hotels in the area. They've got a bit of a public market not very far from there, and new condominiums going up as well. And now to one of my favorite parts, maps. Get some idea where this is and why that's important. Of course, this is a big chunk of the Philippines we're looking at using Google Maps. Always appreciate being able to use Google Maps. And you've got Cebu City, you got Island of Cebu here, you got Bohol over here, of course, Mindanao down here, Negros Island with Bacolod, and Dumaguete is down here. It's not showing up because we're zoomed out. And the island of Guimaras, which I wanted to go, but the typhoon that came barreling through here kind of changed my plans a little bit. We had one day when we had heavy rains off and on, some winds, and they had shut down ferries for that day. All right, we're looking at Iloilo City, and it's interesting. You've got a number, I think, like these spots here, lots of fish farms over here as well. Lots of fish farms, I believe. You have a river that runs through the city, and they're actually building a boardwalk and a park along that river. And actually, most of the piers, the ferry ports are, the ferry comes into the river and makes this bend, and it's right in this area here that a lot of those ferries. And I believe there's at least 3 different ferry ports, depending upon where you want to go. There's a fast ferry port. There's a ferry port for the bigger ships like Coqueleon, and then there's a ferry port for the smaller bancas that will just run you back and forth. I think they have like 30 trips a day going back and forth over to Iloilo, or not, over to Guimaras Island from Iloilo, this island here. And then over here you have the what's called the city proper, the older part of the city down in this area. And I believe, in fact, I know that if you take this road here and you come out here, here's where you have the newer business districts with the big malls. You have SM Mall, you have the Mega World Mall, you have I think IL a little bit further out here. You have Gaisano over here with what they call Times Square as a restaurant and as well as bar area. They have one of those in, I think, well, they have one by Park Mall in Mandaue City in Cebu. And your airport is out here about 25 kilometers out here at the international airport. And there are a number of ways to get that there. You can they have vans, jeepneys going out there. You can rent a taxi, of course. And we're zoomed in a little bit further here. Here again, Iloilo City proper. There's a pretty big market down there. And a couple times I stayed at Go Hotels a number of nights, and they are right down here. It is connected to Robinson's Mall there, and Robinson's Mall is a smaller mall. And every time I went in there, very cold, I had to go back, get a hat and get a long sleeve shirt because it was cold in there. And I thought it was going to start snowing. It was so cold. Anyway, I walked around these areas. I walked a good part of the way. There's a beach out further out this way, about 10 kilometers or so. I walked about halfway and then finally took a tricycle ride. Here is the Regatta Hotel. Looks like an interesting place. They have a bit of a boardwalk along here that they're building. I think it's continuing to evolve. And even over here, the bridge we would cross here, they had a bit of a boardwalk, which is nice to have that along a river. The river looked relatively clean. I don't know how clean the water itself is, but I didn't see trash like you see in some areas, some rivers. Even the last many months that I've been walking in Cebu City, I've noticed many of the rivers, the streams, the canals are much cleaner than they used to be. And they have some pollution control devices to catch trash. And apparently somebody's going out there and picking that up and disposing of it as well. And then as we go over here across the bridge, this is, you start getting up into the newer business district areas, the big mall areas, SM Mall here, Courtyard by Marriott. Behind this area here, you have the Mega Mall. And look at that, down here they have an S&R store similar to Costco in the USA, patterned after Costco. And Injap Tower, there were some good deals. I didn't stay there. Some good deals at that hotel just across the street from SM. And you got the Bureau of Immigration up here, so that's interesting. A medical center up here. Festive Walk Mall. This whole area back in here is, or a big part of it is a combination of the Mega World Mall, huge Mega World Mall, and what they call Festive Walk Mall. And a number of different hotels, and many of them are not shown here. And here's out here is Villa Beach. They pronounce both L's, Villa Beach, and I'll do a separate video about that. An interesting place. Found a few really cheap. They call them beach resorts. They're Filipino style. They're very minimal, basic. Most of them didn't have air con. You could get a fan, but very cheap. If you go farther out from the city, from there you've got a number of. I did not get out to Riverside Beach Resort, and then I did read a report that this place is pretty decent. Solimar, And then back towards town, the Adhara Eco Boutique Resort and the Anhawan Beach Resort and Spa. I saw some information online about it, but I don't know the details really. Looked like they had pools, I believe. So you can check those out, and that is in the town of Otan. They have a number of hospitals, at least 4 different hospitals, number of universities. Of course, once you get out of town, there's going to be caves to explore. There's going to be waterfalls to see. There's going to be different areas where you have beaches, and then you have Rojas City way in the north. Got a friend that is up there living, renting a house for I think 15,000 pesos. And in fact, he sent a video through, and it's on my site for Rojas City, where he's living. And that's not as big as Iloilo, but it's a decent-sized city, I understand. Well, there's a quick introduction to Iloilo City, and it's got a lot of potential. I think very livable city, and no city is perfect anywhere in the world. So you just choose your priorities and your comfort levels. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please share the video. Please like the video. Please subscribe. Safe travels to you all wherever you're at, and I'll see you next time. Have lots more videos coming.